everybody, John Osborne here. I'm known as Trader John O on Stock Charts on Twitter, and let's do the FX educational outlook for today, April 26, 2017. Notice that a lot of the markets are heading higher over the news that we've had recently, especially over the French election. And we can notice that we've got the Euro loonie, for example, is heading higher, and the monthly has gone up to touch this previous resistance line here across the top, this trend line. We can see that same line here on the weekly, and we've broken above it a little bit, and we're showing some pretty good bullishness on our MACD indicator here that implies that we want to head higher. But we're seeing a little bit of a pullback here on the 120 minute and also on the 240. So this gives us an opportunity to get in if we can get this thing to turn around. So we want to watch to see if we can get a break above this line here, and we're right about there right now. So we're watching for a long break above this line, and right now that appears to be around 1.48 or so. So let's see if we can get above that, and if we can let it run a little bit and get above this pivot and this pivot, then we'll see if we can resume this trend and make the move on the weekly that we see. But it has been running up quite a bit for the past week or so, and maybe a little bit more. So maybe it needs to take a little break, and this is not unexpected. So we might see a little bit more of a dip, etc. But a safer bet would be to wait until we can get above this previous high of 1.490068. Looking at the euro pound, we have a similar thing where we were going up and breaking through this line, and we ran all the way down, relating to probably some news event that made us move down that far, and we've gapped back up again over the week after that weekend and are retesting this broken trend line. So let's watch what happens. We made an effort to break lower, but we couldn't get below this weekly pivot that was back over here. So that's about where we stopped last week. So let's watch what happens. We don't really have a downtrend that we can draw a line on, and we're actually looking pretty much bearish across the board here, except for the daily and this little spike up. So we might have an opportunity to head lower here on the euro pound if we can get a next week, if we can break last week's low. Euro yen, we've gapped up and made a run up to this previous trend line here, so we're going to watch for a break above that. And with the pound yen, we've already broken up on the same run up. We broke above this trend line. We've been watching this now for a little bit, and we saw that we've now gone above this previous pivot here. So our next pivot would be about right here, and this is above the 144.119 as we get towards even higher up on this weekly pivot or weekly trend line that was broken. So a good move on that so far. And for the dollar loonie, you can see we've also broken above previous pivot, heading higher with strong momentum across the board. For the Aussie Swissy, you can see this is one of our bearish ones. We were bearish across the board here, and we could see if we can get a little bit further down here. Our next pivot will be this weekly pivot down here, and that's at a low of 0.72727. So we could find our way down there. Maybe this previous trend line here would be a point that we can enter on if you want to wait until that point, or this could be a target if you entered now. And that's at about 0.73426. And that'll do it for today.